Hey trainers, Professor Pokemon here, aka Alakaham, and I am here to bring you some more Pokemon video magic. I am showing you my initial Great League team that I have been using since the return of the Great League, and as you saw, we had a Jellicent on the lead with an Alolan Marowak and a Chesnaught in the back. Now this is a classic water, fire, grass team, just like you would see in the early games or the TV show. But my twist here to get a little bit more coverage is that my water and my fire type are also dual ghost types. So that's been pretty fun to play with, and it's worked out fairly well for me, as you will see in this video. I have a couple of moves on Jellicent. I have Shadow Ball to do lots of damage, and then I have Bubble Beam to sort of debuff my opponents. With the debuff, I was able to defeat that Clefable at the beginning of this first match, and then we have Bubble Beam to try and debuff some of the attack from Bastiodon. Now, Bastiodon is one of my least favorite Pokemon to come across. It's so tanky, it is super annoying to beat it every time. But fortunately, they switched out into a Talonflame, so we could swap over to our own fire type, Alolan Marowak, and absorb some of that damage while we are working up to Shadow Ball, which can do neutral damage. This is why having dual ghost types has tended to work out really, really well. I throw Bone Club to try and bait the shield. I was successful in that, and they make an aggressive swap into their Bastiodon. Fortunately, we can do super effective damage using the Chesnaught superpower attack. The fact that it's dual grass fighting can actually do quite a bit. It has lots of coverage. It's not a great matchup against the Talonflame, but that's okay because the Talonflame is going to feint it out pretty quickly. It's going to have to throw its energy. Oh, actually, that was a really weird glitch where they threw their energy and it didn't do any damage to Chesnaught. So that was very, very strange. But I don't think it would have mattered anyway because we had the fully charged Alolan Marowak ready to go. So again, I'm using this same team. I've got Jellicent on the lead, and we come across Meganium. That is the worst. You do not want to see Meganium with a water type. Obviously, we switch right away into A-Wak, and they counter with their own water type, which in this case is an Azumarill. And that's fine by me, because these Shadow Bone attacks are actually going to start adding up quite a bit. I went ahead and let the A-Wak go in this case because I wanted to charge up as much energy as I could on Chesnaught, and I knew that I would want to save a shield in case they had Ice Beam, which clearly they did, so that worked out fine. We were able to farm them down all the way, and now we have lots of energy. So I can throw back-to-back superpowers against Meganium. This is going to hit for neutral damage, and it's actually the best shot we have at defeating Meganium. I really need to use Chesnaught to work Meganium down if I'm going to have any chance of closing out this game with Jellicent. So here we go with another superpower. Unfortunately, those attacks get weaker every time they are used, so that's problematic in some cases, but that's all right. Then they switch into Shadow Zapdos, another thing you absolutely do not want to see with this team, because Shadow Zapdos one-shots Jellicent with any electric attacks, and then it one-shots Chesnaught with Drill Peck. So that is absolutely terrible. They just had several counters to all of the things that we had, so there wasn't a lot to do in that particular case. Okay, match number 3. We end up hitting a more neutral situation with the Kingdra on the lead. I decided to shield this because I didn't know if maybe they had worked up to Outrage, but I had to switch out of that immediately in order to get rid of the debuff because they had just knocked down the attack strength of our Jellicent. They did let our Energy Ball go through on Chesnaught. I was a little surprised that they stayed in this match because it was not exactly a favorable matchup for their Kingdra, but that's fine. It worked out okay for me, and now we can just do some chip damage to their Tropius and bring in A-Wak. Okay, so they're going to throw Leaf Blade. We should be completely safe. It's almost always Leaf Blade on Tropius. And then, very interesting situation, they have a Suicune down here in the Great League. So I saw lots of legendary Pokemon down here. Really interesting situation. I shielded that when I probably shouldn't have. I just wasn't sure how much something like an Ice Beam might have done. But they're just using Bubble Beam to debuff us, which is the same strategy that I use with Jellicent. So that's kind of interesting there. They ended up quitting the match because even though they were going to beat the Jellicent, of course we had Alolan Marowak, which was going to be super effective using Fire-type attacks, and then the Ghost-type attacks as well. So that was another fun game. And this time we ended up in the Jellicent mirror match. But in this case, they actually had the advantage because their Jellicent runs Hex, a Ghost-type move, so it's doing super effective damage to us while we are doing just neutral, or actually resisted damage to their Jellicent. So we have debuffed each other, and this time I was a little more afraid about the Shadow Ball, but they were still just trying to fake us out. I decided I should go for Shadow Ball, and if I get the shield, great. If I don't, even better. I did get the shield. They launched their own Shadow Ball. I make it to another one. These mirror matches get to be really weird, like guessing games, who's going to throw what. Fortunately, I got to Bubble Beam first, so I forced them to choose between their shield and the Jellicent. They fainted me out, but that's fine. They switched out of that Jellicent, but they switched so quickly they did not even look at what I was throwing at them. So it does not matter what a Galarian Stunfisk throws at Chesnaught. Chesnaught is going to survive, especially if it comes in with lots of health. So we completely destroy that Stunfisk with Superpower, which is exactly what you want to see, and they just have a Rock Slide. Again, not good enough to feint us. And now we have back-to-back Superpower attacks again. Unfortunately, we didn't get to throw both of them, so that's not great. They do have a Talonflame in the back. I figure we can take whatever they're going to throw at us there. They tried to come back in with Jellicent, but Jellicent did not have enough health to actually do any damage to us or to absorb an attack because I didn't throw my move. I waited, anticipating that they would switch, and it worked out there. So I was happy to come out on top. I think this is the last match that I recorded for this particular team, but again, I've done really, really well with this ghostly twist on the classic trio. Here we hit a pretty favorable matchup. They switch out. I overfarmed just a little bit before I swap over to A-Wak because I want to make sure that I have Shadow Ball ready to go in case that Jellicent comes back up against the Swampert. And we don't need to shield any of this. All of these attacks are going to be resisted from the Abomasnow. We can just farm them down, and now we have so much energy ready to go on whatever they throw next. I suspect it's the Swampert. Is that what they did? Yeah, so we had Shadowbone, and I shielded once because I had the other Shadowbone ready to go, and I didn't want to waste that energy. After this, I don't mind if they throw Hydro Cannon and feint us out. That's fine. We can come back in and farm them down with either Chesnaught or Jellicent, and that's going to work fine. So Chesnaught finishes them off. They have Frostlass back there, another ghostly character. It's fun to see all of these ghost types. I, of course, am just going to let the Chesnaught go because I have a Shadow Ball ready Jellicent here. So I throw Bubble Beam to try and bait the shield. It works. I just have to do a couple more taps to get to that Shadow Ball. They did charge up an attack. Yeah, but it was just Avalanche. So actually we would have survived that. That's okay. I shielded just to be safe, but Shadow Ball is definitely enough to finish off the Frostlass. So again, this team has been going really great for me. I have super enjoyed playing with it, and it's been nice to get back to the Great League for a little bit. I'll have some Master League battles prepped and ready to show you in a bit as well, so I'm looking forward to sharing those matches with you too. Until next time, trainers.